Wholesale Hotline. I'm Brent Daniels.
I'm Jamil Damji.
And I'm Jerry Norton.
And I'm Morby.
Every week we bring you the best information on real estate investing.
Be sure to participate in the comments.
And subscribe.
Wholesale Hotline!
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline. I am your host, Jamil Damji, and we are missing our wonderful brothers today, Mr. Pace Morby, Jerry Norton, and Brent Daniels, all of whom are doing incredible other things. Pace, I believe, is in Alaska or making his way to Alaska. I will be joining the Creative Nation tour once we get to Chicago, and I'll be making as many of those stops after that. So it'll be just me today. I am an expert in wholesaling, an expert in co-living, and I would happily answer any questions that you would have in regards to any of those topics. So do me a favor, as I am not going to be able to have just conversations with myself, put some questions in the chat so that I can help you guys as much as possible. I'll probably stay on here about an hour today, guys, unless it goes longer than that. I have nothing really crazy going on that requires me to leave earlier, but I just saying that in case we don't have a ton of questions today. But go ahead and put your wholesaling or your co-living related questions in the chat. I also fix and flip, guys. I do a number of different things in the world of real estate investing. I am going to begin by quickly, since it's just me and I can basically do whatever I want. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been posting about in my Instagram for the last few days, in my stories and in my posts. First of all, guys, I am not a negative guy, right? I don't, you guys never see me indulging in drama. I'm not really like a dramatic person. I am really here exposing the situation because I have, unfortunately, led some of my flock to the wolves, and I feel incredibly sorrowful for that. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to be as transparent and loud about the situation as possible. You guys know that finding contractors is a really difficult task when we're in our businesses here, and many of us have had trouble finding them. And so I was introduced to a national general contractor by somebody from our Owners Club group. Again, another really genuine human that I met in Owners Club had told me about this company that does general contracting nationally, which I found to be just amazing, right? Like how I've never seen that before. And it felt like this is the answer to so many problems that I've had. So, of course, I reach out, we start having a conversation, and everything sounds really, 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 really good, right? So I engage. Now, very, very quickly, as I engage with these guys, I realize that it's probably in my benefit to do some due diligence. And so I have my team reach out to this company, and I'm going to name the company right now. It's Quick Flip Construction, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And we do some due diligence. We reach out to prior customers, those that we can find and that are listed. Obviously, now, as I look back in hindsight, if you've got a company, or if you're giving me a company as a reference, there's probably something happening there or some relationship that makes them give you a positive review. I don't know. But we ended up getting like 6 or 7 reviews. I've got it all documented because I just wanted to make sure that I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. So once I felt super comfortable that we were dealing with a legitimate company, I started telling people about it. Oh my goodness, right? Like right out the gate, things started to get really dicey. To let you guys understand the level at which I got, involved, I actually referred these guys to do a project for my girlfriend. Now think of this, right? My girlfriend buys a home for her mom and decides to use Quick Flip for the renovation. What a disaster. First they totally underquote the entire job, not understanding the scope of work. and I believe this is the MO, right? They underquote the job, or they underbid the job to try to get people to come and do business with them. And they say that they guarantee the work, right? They guarantee this quote, or that this quote is a hard quote. Well, guarantees mean nothing if you just stop doing work, or you just never start the work at all. And so they, depending on the size of the job, if it's a small job, then they're only going to get a small initial deposit. But if it's a bigger job, they'll get that big chunk of money, and then they'll just run away. But imagine this. I refer my girlfriend. She gets into this deal with these guys, and it's just havoc right out the gate. Nobody knows what's going on. They send crackheads over to the house. And the reason I know they were crackheads is, when my girlfriend went to go check on the property, there were people living in it. And they said that Lambros, the owner of Quick Flip, told them that they could. And then she looks around and there's paraphernalia everywhere. There's crack pipes. And, it's like, she's like, what's going on here? And so these guys end up running away. They leave. And, this Lambros, the owner, is like, I'm going to make it up to you guys. I'm going to get a really good people out there. Don't worry. Now, in California, you can't do unlicensed work, right? You got to have a licensed contractor do the work. It's just the name of the game over here. You can't mess around. And they are, they're claiming all of the things, that they're fully insured, fully bonded, fully licensed. I now come to find out none of that's true. No one's licensed, no one's bonded, no one's insured. However, they send over a contracting group that actually turn out to be really nice people. Okay, my girlfriend and them work together diligently to complete the job, because these guys, they're working on the belief that I'm involved financially in this deal, right? And so they don't feel like they're not going to get paid. And so even though Quick Flip is stringing these guys along on the payment of their invoices, they're like not even worried about it. They're like, this is Jamil Damji's girlfriend, as if he's not going to pay the bill, right? So they complete the job. They totally complete the job, and at the best of their ability. And then Quick Flip doesn't pay them. We pay the invoice, right? The invoice is completely paid. The Quick Flip doesn't pay the contractor. So whether Quick Flip screws you or they screw the contractor, somebody's going to get screwed in the deal. Now, as this is all unfolding, right, I'm getting messages left, right, and center from people who have worked with these guys or sent them deposits, and these guys have skedaddled. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And so a public service announcement, guys, if you guys have done business with this company, Quick Flip Construction, out of Atlanta, Georgia, anywhere in the country, you are dealing with a complete Ponzi. I'm really sorry that you are getting involved in it. It's so wrong. I think Pace and I, what we're going to do in the future is a full series on how to vet contractors and really understand when you're involved in a contractor Ponzi, because they can do it so sneakily that you'd never really realize it's happening. And it's a really terrible thing to do to especially brand new investors, right? It's hard. And I'm embarrassed because I got, roped into this thing as well. And I what kind of an asshole do I look like? I referred my girlfriend to these guys, and so anyhow, I'm here to own up to it and tell you guys that this is terrible and that there are frauds running around out there, and they're stealing money. They're stealing money from this community. They're stealing money from unsuspecting new investors, and it's really sucky. It's really sucky. So, if you have some time today, they have an Instagram page, Quick Flip Construction. Go leave them a message and tell them they're not going to get away with this. If you are a victim of Quick Flips, I highly recommend getting a hold of the FBI field office in Atlanta and making a formal complaint. In addition to that, lawyer up right away, right away, because you want to get injunctive relief. What that means is that they can speed into court and they can put a freeze on their bank accounts. And so that'll keep them from being able to move assets and transfer things. Fraudulent conveyances can get rolled back. The faster you go in and file the lawsuit, the date stamp is important, because anything that they sell prior to being sued, they can actually say they were just selling. But if you sue them, then any conveyance is fraudulent, and they can scale it back and they can claw all that money back. And so you want to get to an attorney immediately, and you want to file this lawsuit immediately. Like I said, get a hold of the field office and FBI, the FBI field office in Atlanta, Georgia. The louder we get, the more we make this really difficult on them. I believe the faster they'll unravel and less people will be scammed, or there'll be some kind of restitution made. I don't know. Apparently Lambros is on the run. He has now officially resigned from the company that he owns, is no longer answering phone calls, and has disappeared. So, like most cockroaches, that's what ends up happening when the lights come on, right? They scurry. And so that's what it is. Now, again, thank you, Dom Milanazzo. You gave us some good references here. Absolutely. Go to the Better Business Bureau, the Consumer Fraud and Protection Board, CFPB. The Attorney General for Atlanta is also, or the Attorney General of Georgia, would be a very good person to reach out to as well. But yeah, that's my current advice to give to you guys that are victims of this. I really, it breaks my heart to start this incredible show off with negativity or negative news. I just think that it's really important that we do something about it, right? That we don't let these guys get away with it, because it sucks. It sucks for everybody. It really is just a sad thing. And the worst part about it is that a lot of the people that were scammed were brand new investors. And you can imagine what's going to happen now, right? Like, they've taken all their money and they don't have any money left. And now they think real estate is a scam, or they think real estate sucks. And that's also not true. They just ended up falling for a scam. I've fallen for scams before too, guys. I mean, look, I put my own girlfriend into this thing, and I've been ripped off for, $1 million in the past. It's just a cost of doing business. But it really does suck when it happens. And I feel bad for anyone who's been victimized by these guys. It's sucky. Again, the name is Quick Flip Construction. One of the owners' name is Ramon. The other owner's name is Lambros. Apparently, I'm not in Atlanta. Otherwise, I would have driven where the office is. But apparently, their office address is a nail salon. So yeah, that could have been a red flag too. On we go. All right. Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, guys. Put your questions in the chat. So Daniel Camargo said, how are the interest rate changes going to affect builders? Okay, let's talk about new construction. As interest rates come down, what will happen in the world of new construction? Construction has come to, a screeching standstill as a result of interest rates spiking. Many builders that I am close with, boutique builders and larger builders alike, had paused future developments as a result of having unknowns in what their costs are going to be. And because they can't pre-sell, a lot of the ways that financing gets done in the world of new construction is they pre-sell a certain number of their product, a certain amount of their product. A percentage of it is kind of needs to be pre-sold in order for them to check the box to get their financing. Now, they're going to pre-sell that based off of what they think the market can bear right now, and also what they feel their costs are going to come in at. But when costs are all over the place, right? Because we've got inflation still coming in high. You've got interest rates jumping around all over the place. Labor is getting trickier than ever. A lot of the workforce that we were relying on for new construction has been iced out. And so what does that do to labor costs, right? It goes right up. Crews are not showing up for work, right? And so that's a thing. And so really, it's really tough right now. So what I think, Daniel, is going to happen is once there is some stability in at least one of these things, and interest rates is probably the biggest one because that's where they're getting their financing from, I think that we're going to start seeing an increase in new construction starts. Is it going to be a dramatic increase? I don't think so. I think the economy overall needs to have more positive impact and some better forecasting, or at least some better results as the economic reports come out, the jobs report, all of that needs to show better signs of life. Right now, the economy is struggling, and so I don't feel like new construction is the play for real estate investors. In fact, where I think the biggest opportunity is still in making what I call disrespectful offers to sellers who are overpriced on the market for greater than 90 days. And please, when I say the word disrespectful, I don't mean it to be rude. I'm trying to give you an image in your mind. If something is listed at $500,000, let me just use this as an example. Say a house is listed for 500 grand on the MLS, and it's been on the MLS for 150 days. Well, that tells me that this house is severely overpriced. But this is where this seller and this real estate agent think this house is going to trade at, right? Because it's listed for 500K and they haven't done anything. And so why I say disrespectful is because I need you to understand how far away you need to be from that number in order for it to be a deal. And I want you to feel like it's disrespectful. It's not, because it's real, but I say that word so that you can understand how far apart reality is from where they're marketing this property. And so really going after these types of situations right now, I believe, is where there is a dramatic opportunity. I think sellers with great motivation and days on market that are experiencing pain right now, especially in distressed property, maybe not turnkey real estate. I think turnkey, like rent ready or newer properties that are high days on market tend to be greater opportunities for a subject to deal. I'm talking about cash offers, houses that are in disrepair, that are not financeable by traditional methods. These are the deals that you can go in and take some kneecaps. So my opinion is that is where there is a huge opportunity. Now, a lot of you wholesalers, what you're doing right now is you're still focused on the wrong demographic for your purchases. And I think that's probably another reason why some of you guys are not moving your deals, okay? Where are the buyers right now? What kind of projects are buyers doing? If I'm telling you right now that costs are all over the place, that interest rates are spiking, that workforce isn't showing up to work, do you think that that's going to be different in the world of fix and flippers? Not really, right? They're going to experience a parallel situation to what the builders are experiencing. So is that a demographic right now that's purchasing heavily? They're still purchasing. They're still doing fix and flips. The really good ones are. But do you think that those guys are rampantly buying right now? Not likely. So who do you think are the buyers right now? I'll tell you, okay? Buy and hold investors, long-term holders, people that are long on the real estate game. Now, if we look at the buy and hold investor pool, where do you think the majority of new eyes and focus and opportunity is sitting right now? In the world of co-living. I'm telling you guys, I've done 13 transactions just personally this month, wholesale deals, all co-living buyers. Not a single one of them was a fix and flip buyer. And the spreads we're getting are really nice. Why? Because they have a model that is not dependent on making a profit on a flip. What these guys are doing is they're forcing appreciation, increasing the value of the property, and then refining as much of that money as they can out of the deal. They're then cash flowing in a really high yield investment strategy, right? And so they are still at the table right now being able to make money and make sense out of these properties right now that aren't making sense for fix and flippers or builders. So I would really, really look at your buyer pool as an indication of where the market is. Right now, fix and flip buyers are a little bit soft. You want to go where the buyers are hard, and they are hard in the world of co-living and buy and hold economics. And so if you guys are also looking for where to find those people, send me a DM on Instagram and I can give you some tips. Cool. All right. Let's see. What is a good way to find buyers as a wholesaler? Well, that just led me into a topic, right? So let's talk about it. If you are a wholesaler right now and you want to sell to buy and hold investors, there is a platform that I think is probably the best platform for dispo lists right now. It's called Investor Base. Yvette, if you are watching this, I think somebody's putting these comments and questions on the screen. If you would be so kind as to put the website runinvestorbase.com in the chat for people, runinvestorbase.com. You can give them a 2-week free trial. They are a great place to find buyers. I mean, you put an address into this platform and it spits out every person who's bought in the area within like half a mile. You're going to find fix and flip buyers there. You're going to find buy and hold buyers there, and it actually separates them for you. So you know who is a buy and hold investor, who's a fix and flip investor. It's really good data. I've had hit rates of like 6 and 7 out of 10, which if you've ever skip traced, is really, really good. Here's the other thing I really like Investor Base, and this is not a commercial for them. I'm just being like super transparent. One of the good things about their platform as well is that it's a one-stop shop. One of the things about building buyers lists that's been difficult for most wholesalers is that usually it's a 6-step process, right? Normally what people would have to do is they'd have to go and search tax records to find out who is the buyer, and then they find out the LLC. And then they take that LLC and they go to open corporates and they find out who the member or principals of the LLC are. Then they have to go to like batch leads and they have to skip trace that person, that member's name, to get the phone number. And then they call the buyer. That's like 5-6 steps. And, I'm a wholesaler. I get stuck at step 2. Okay. And you're probably a wholesaler watching this right now too. So that means you probably get stuck at step 2 too. Okay, so then that means building buyers lists is probably not fun for wholesalers. We predominantly are like just captives of ADD. So going to Investor Base is great because it's one stop. You sign up for their 2-week trial, then you go in and you put the address into their platform, and it'll just send you the whole list. It gives you the name of the LLC, it gives you the name of the member of the LLC, and it gives you their phone number and email address too. So you can just reach directly out to them. It is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. I don't recommend a lot of things these days, but I do recommend that. When you are trying to wholesale creative and the seller has 2 loans, how do you get the interest rate? Do you average the you're going to test my math today. Well, I don't think you can average the 2 because each of the notes is going to have a different amount, right? So you can't just take, if one is a 5% and one is a 3%, you can't add them together, divide them by 2 and say it's 4, because that's not going to work if one of them has a larger amount than the other one. And so it really depends on the principal amount of the loans in order to determine which one is going to have a greater impact. The blended rate is going to be a complicated formula, adjusting and taking into consideration both of those things. I would not market it that way. I would market it as 2 loans. I would say that the first position loan is a $300K balance at 5%, and the second position loan is a $30K balance at 8%. And I would just market it that way so that they can see what it is they're looking for. A lot of times what ends up happening is if there is a smaller loan that has unfavorable terms, an investor might look at it and say, you know what, I'm just going to pay this one note off because I don't want to have to be subject to this crappy 8% loan when it's, has a primary loan on the property that's like 3%. And they really do want that note, right? So I don't want to muddy the water, and I don't want to blend them together, especially if one is better than the other. I want to make sure that I'm highlighting the good one and then showing the other one that may not be great, but it might give them an opportunity or a plan on how to take that note out. Hope that helped. When am I coming to Chicago? Halloween. I'm going to be in Chicago on October 31st. Spooky, scary stuff. And I'm really excited. I'm going to be at the Resilient Investor event. Rhea Campbell, if you're unfamiliar with her, she is a rock star, putting on a wonderful event for investors in Chicago. I really hope you guys are all attending that. If you are in the Chicagoland area. What are my thoughts on the Chicago residential market? I think the Chicago residential market is having the same types of issues that we're finding in the Phoenix residential market. There's pockets where there's great opportunity, and then there's pockets that are stagnant, right? Still, right now, you have retail buyers staying away. Rates are still not super favorable, and that's not helping, right? And so I think Chicago overall is a pretty resilient market, but we're just seeing the same kind of depression that you get in the major markets, the major metros. You could definitely stand to benefit by going after long day on market homes that have visible signs of distress. Not situational as much, but like visible signs of distress. You can go after these cash deals, and I think that if there's motivation there, you can really get some good buys. Markets like this are my favorite. And the reason why they're my favorite is because I'm liquid, so I have access to capital. B, I close. I'm not scared to close on things, right? And so this is when I make my money. I'm going to show you guys an example of this, just to give you, maybe some hope on how to like walk around and see how to make this money. But look at this. I'm going to go to search this deal here, 4451 East Earl Drive in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, look, I'm bringing this one up because I own it. Okay, I own this one, and let's look at the public records of this. Okay, so property history. You guys can all see this. This one was listed here. See, this got listed at $1.28 million December. It got listed in January in 2022, right when the market started to like go down. Okay. Now, here's what's really interesting about this. I called the real estate agent when they first listed it, and I said, hey, I going to be honest with you. You've listed this thing for like nearly $1.3 million. I don't think anyone's going to buy it. And she said, why do you say that? I said, because I'm probably the only guy who is going to come and give you the money that you are looking for on this house, and it's not $1.28 million. And she giggled at me, and she said, well, what's your offer? And I said, 900. And she told me that was just not at all acceptable. I would say that a 900 offer on a $1.3 million listing would be a disrespectful offer. Wouldn't you? I would say so. Look at what ends up happening. I do end up closing on it. I do end up buying it, but I pay $950 for it. Now, why is this important? Let's look at what this house is worth today. Okay, quick back of the napkin right now is approximately 1.4 to 1.6. Okay, so I why do I tell you guys this? Why do I share this? It's not to brag, not to tell you guys, oh wow, look how good I am at things. I tell you this because now is when it is an opportunity for you to go make money. Now is the time for you to land bank. Now is the time for you to go get smoking deals and hold on to them. If you are a serious real estate investor and you are capitalized, it's a good time to go out and start collecting and getting really good deals. But you should have that same attitude when you're out there negotiating for your buyers right now. Like really get aggressive. And I think that you're going to have an easier time right now going to real estate agents than you are talking to homeowners directly, because homeowners don't understand what's happening. First of all. Second of all, I love having a fiduciary, meaning an advocate. The seller has an advocate when they have a real estate agent present. For liability purposes and all the other things, I want them to have a real estate agent there. I want to negotiate with the real estate agent. I don't want to negotiate with the seller. And I want to negotiate with the real estate agent because they're the person whose job it is legally to advise their client. And so their job is to be taking care of their client. It's not on me now to care about that client at all or that person at all. Now I have to care about my LLC. and what businesses are made for is to create value. So my fiduciary duty is to my shareholders and my company, which means I have a duty to get the best price that I can possibly get on this property. The agent's job is to get the best situation for their client. And now we are at odds. And this is what a negotiation looks like. Okay. So I think right now is a really good time to go out and continue your agent outreach model and go looking for distress in anything that has high day on market, and just have an intelligent conversation with the real estate agent about what their plan is. You've got this house sitting on the market now for 4 months. Nothing's happened. You've made no price reductions. Is this an advertising tool for you? Like, what is the plan? Are you using this as a way to just get phone calls? Is this how you date people? What is the strategy here? I'm curious. I would really just ask, and then see what ends up happening, because the agent knows this isn't going to trade, right? So that would be how I would be approaching those. I'm looking to wholesale. How do you find buyers? I just went over that very in extensive detail a few minutes ago, but runinvestorbase.com, that would be my advice on finding buyers. I'm going to give you guys one more tip. Okay. One more tip. Just the tip. Okay. Airbnb, short-term rentals are suffering right now. Okay. They are not cash flowing. A lot of investors got roped into the tax advantages of depreciating short-term rentals, because there was like this rule, because they're short-term, that you could classify yourself as a real estate professional according to the IRS tax code, which then allowed you to depreciate that. And then using bonus accelerated depreciation, you could get 60% of that depreciation up front, which was a really good tax strategy for people that are high active income earners like myself. The problem with that is that, well, you'd hope that these short-term rentals would cash flow. But what happens when they don't? Okay, I'm going to show you another example. Here is my Airbnb. Now, what happened here is pretty interesting. I buy this one in Los Angeles, California. And my hope was that I was going to get to buy it, stay in it like a couple weekends a month, and then Airbnb it every other night. Okay. And I had a good plan, I thought, because when I used to go to LA and want to stay on the water, I would rent Airbnbs and they would charge me like $2,000 a night. So I was thinking, if these guys are charging $2,000 a night, why don't I just buy this thing and charge $1,000 a night? I'll undercut the whole market and I'm going to make all the money, right? Wrong. I buy this thing on what date did I buy it? It'll tell me here. I buy this thing for, look at how many times I've had to rent this sucker. I buy this thing for on December 1st of 2021. What do you think happened January 1st of 2022? Any idea? Any idea what happened? Okay. Airbnb gets banned in Los Angeles. Okay. No more cash flow. So now I have like a $10,000 a month hole in my life that I've got to fill. I got to, either stay there as much as I can, or I got to find another long-term rental. And, for 2-3 years, I was paying $10,000 a month on this thing and barely getting out there to look at it, to stay there. Now, at least, thankfully, I have long-term renters in there. And so I'm, at least breaking even on the thing. But why do I tell you this? I tell you this because Airbnb owners are suffering. And if somebody had called me and said, hey, jackass, you want to sell this oceanfront property of yours today? Depending on the day and my mood, my answer could 50-50 be, yeah, sure. What's your offer? So I tell you this because there is a whole list of Airbnb owners on Airbnb and VRBO. And you can get these addresses and you can find out who the owner of those properties are, and you can ask them how things are going. Like, hey, jackass, how's your Airbnb doing? Are you losing money? Would you like to sell it? There's a good chance that they'll want to sell. Now, the other thing that you could do is you could turn those Airbnbs into co-living. They cash flow. Short-term rentals right now, not so much. Co-living, yes, so much. So there you go. You're welcome. How can I turn my shitty MTRs into profitable co-livings? Good question, Samantha. I am a licensed general contractor in the state that I own properties in. I've met you and love you. Oh, thank you. I love you too. Just curious on what info I might have. Okay, so Samantha, let me share with you one of the really interesting things about how we do co-living. I used to do co-living the same way that most people did. And the reason why I don't use the word pad split, not because I don't like pad split. I think pad split are great people. They're sponsors of ours. They're wonderful. But their model is not in alignment with how I'm running my business, right? Their fee structure right now is set up kind of in opposition to their owners. They take the first 10 days of every stay now, okay? And it used to be they just took a percentage. And now they just take all of the money for the first 10 days. Now, in theory, you might think, well, Jamil, that's way good, right? If they're going to take only 10 days, then what if a guy stays a year? Well, then I don't got to pay them for like 11 months. That's not the person they're looking to put in your place. They're looking for people with higher turnover. So what ended up happening is my properties that were on pad split, they went from being really full and really profitable to not so full and not so profitable, because their model changed. So they were putting people who wanted higher turnover. And then my math started compressing really fast. So then I realized that the direct to consumer, the business to consumer model for co-living is broken. And then I have to go and individually work with individual people, individual members here, there. It's just like, brain damage, right? So how did I fix it? Well, I didn't do it. My sister did. What my sister went and did is she created business-to-business relationships with different nonprofits and NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and insurance companies that are now contracting us on master agreements, okay? So what ends up happening is right now, when I finish a co-living home, before like the day that I get my occupancy permit, my sister's already talking to one of our contract holders and saying, here's the address of the property, who wants it? They are gone in minutes. Right now, I don't have enough volume of finished property to fill the need that I have. I have an 8-month wait list right now on my properties. And I never have a vacancy, 0 vacancies. So my opinion is the best way to convert is go out and make some of those relationships. If you're not familiar with how to do that, I would love to show you. I have a community called Housing Alchemy. My sister and I run it. It is all based on co-living. It would behoove you to come in and at least listen to the webinar that I do on Thursday at 11 a.m. PST. Yvette, if you have the link to that, put it in the chat, because maybe people would want to join us and see what we're doing. But let me share with you a little bit about how cool the business-to-business model is for co-living. So our major contract holders right now are Banner Health, Mercy Care, St. Vincent de Paul, Vash, and Perryville Prison, okay? That's where we're getting all of our people from. So what's really cool about this is they do a contract with us, meaning I don't have to go chase anybody or any of these members for rent. I also don't have to manage them. I have no contact. I have nothing to do with, I'm not working with the people living in my place any longer. I'm working with the organization. And guess what? They just send me money directly. I don't have to go out and knock on Robert's door and be like, Robert, what's happening? Where's your money, Robert? You never paid me on Friday. That doesn't happen. They just send me money, wire right to my bank account once a month, not once a week, once a month. Beautiful. And what they do is they put a couple of their staff, like a couple nurses in there, and then they take the rest of the rooms and they cycle through patients. Or if it's Perryville Prison, they put a couple of whatever those people are called, correctional officers, and then they just cycle through their parolees. I am about to, and I'm not gonna tell you the name of the company, but because this model has become so lucrative, but also it's like people with housing grants, a lot of these nonprofits and NGOs get a grant issued to them every year. But this grant is only available if they have a housing component, okay, meaning that they house people. Now, all of these companies, all of these nonprofits, they're all currently using hotels. And they're using that grant money and they're giving it to the Best Western or Motel 6. And they're housing these people in these little flea bag hotels. Whereas they look at our co-living homes and they're like, oh my God, this is so much better. This is so much easier. And it is. But then I find out, because we got reached out to by a company who does this, that the same is happening in hospice. Okay? Now, hear this. Hospice, if any of you are unfamiliar with what hospice is, that's where somebody who is terminally ill is on final days. Okay? And usually hospice care can take a month, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days. It's like it varies. Now, what's been happening is people who are in this terrible situation and time of their life are in these little flea bag hotels where they're setting up hospice, end of life care. And their families are coming to visit them in these really terrible motels, right? But it's all that's available because there's no housing out there. And so they're passing away in these really, really undignified situations and locations. And so now what the hospice care companies are wanting to do is they want to come in and they just want to take everything we've got. Now, if you think that you could make a lot of money letting people live in your home, what do you think you're going to get for letting people die there? I'm saying that with as much grace and humility as I can say it, but it is like 4x what you would get on a standard co-living, which is already 4x what you get for LTR. So there is a massive opportunity here, guys, to go business to business, have a baked in demand that you never have to go chasing, that you never have to go looking for. You build it, they're there. You build it, they're there. Now, again, I go over this in great detail on my webinars on Thursday. I believe Yvette is putting a link in the chat or on the screen here. Come check it out. I'd love to see you guys there. Wicked Metallic said, what is the best way to start as a beginner with no idea where to start? I think one of the greater strategies right now, if you're brand new, is bird dogging, right? What I used to call, or what I call Astro Flipping. Pace has just done a really big training on it called bird dogging. That is where you work with wholesalers who have already contracted a property and buyers who are looking for these types of properties, and you just connect the dots in the middle. I'll give you an example. I've got a couple of people in our Housing Alchemy community, Maria Ko, her husband Entau. These guys are amazing, right? They're bird dogging for us right now. We are doing, I think they just completed their 4th deal the other day. And, you know, they're like already starting to make money. I think maybe this month they might crush $20,000, $25,000 for the month, which for just getting started, hear me out. They're just getting started. So Wicked Metallics, if you're just getting started, would $20,000, $25,000 a month right now in fees be life-changing for you? Possibly. So I think right now, finding legitimate buyers who are buying and bird dogging for them, I think that is a really good strategy. If you have nowhere to start, if you don't know where to start, that for me would be really the lowest hanging fruit, the lowest barrier to entry. Yeah. Where can I find legit cash buyers in Cleveland, Ohio? Well, first of all, we're going to come out and do a meetup in Cleveland, Ohio on the Creative Nation Tour. So go to creativenationtour.com and make sure you RSVP for Cleveland, Ohio, and make sure that you're in the audience there, because there's going to be hundreds of people who are going to be legitimate cash buyers that you're going to want to know. In addition to that, runinvestorbase.com. Warker said, with your wholesale business, when did I know it was time to expand out into different states? Like what threshold and financial situation? Good question, bro. For us, we were really picking up steam in Arizona and Florida. And those were markets that we were like physically operating. I had physical people in those markets. But the problem with it is, even though they were profitable and we were really doing a good volume, the problem was staffing, right? Staffing those markets is not easy, and the overhead is intense, right? You get to a place where you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in wages, and that is really, 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 really difficult, right? You have a bad month, and all of a sudden you're turkey balls. And so my solution to that was franchising. That's when we turned our business into a franchise model, and we sold franchises to different markets operating under our brand. For us, that was the gold standard. That was the winning ticket. And it allowed us to expand into different states without having to have big operations in those states. In fact, people paid us to work under our brand in those states, which was genius, right? So that's how I would do it. Go out and build a dope-ass brand and franchise it. That is how you really make a massive impact without having to make a massive financial investment in those operations. When we did go out and do it, boots on the grounds, we bloated very, very quickly, and our math just didn't math. But I do want to say this, looking back at it now, right? 10 years later, would I do it again? I would do it again for the ride that I've been on, yes. I don't have this ride if I didn't have Keegley, and so I'm going to forever be grateful to Keegley and grateful for the opportunity and the time and everything that I did with building that brand up. But now, post-exit, right? Because many of you may or may not know that I've exited. My sister and I exited officially from Keegley about 7 months ago. It was a great exit. We are super happy about it. And now I'm a free agent. And so I've been wholesaling my own deals now. I haven't been a free agent wholesaler in like almost 10 years until just now. It feels good, man. I love being able to just do my own stuff, not answer to anybody. I just do my own deals. And I get to keep all the money, right? So I can tell you that I probably did a lot better as a small operator running a small operation than I did as a large operator running a multi-state franchise operation. I took home way more money as a smaller investor. I took home way more money as a smaller wholesaler. I had way less stress. And now I'm back in that same boat. Way more money, way less stress. And it's fun. It's fun again, right? So I'm just saying, if you want to build a big company, think about why, right? I wanted to build something that I had legacy attached to. It's a big ego thing. Okay, don't get it twisted. Ego is why I built a big company. Now I'm rich. F my ego. I know the difference. I would not do that again. I would definitely skip the ego and go for the money. That's what the smart people do. What would be the best way to sell nationally? Run investorbase.com. What are my thoughts for wholesaling in 2026? It's on the way out. Just honestly, it's not going to last very much longer. I think that it is tough. I think that wholesaling is tough right now with all the regulations that are coming and happening state over state. I think you really have to become really, really, really well capitalized soon. I would start making, friends with lenders. I would start making friends with your buyers. I would start raising capital to close your own deals. There is going to be a point where assigning contracts is no longer going to work. So prepare for that. Maybe it's not coming right away. Maybe it's going to be 2 years away. But wouldn't you like to be the investor that has all of their ducks in a row as soon as they pull the plug? Because it's going to happen. We got way too many turkeys out there that are causing all. Look at this. Look at Lambros, okay, the quick flip construction guys. Another example of bad actors creating havoc, right? And they're playing in the world of wholesaling. which is like, I know they're contractors, and you're like, Jamil, it's not the same thing. And you're right, it's not, but it's in the same field, right? We attract this nonsense demographic sometime, and they just want to do things the wrong way. They want to do things the fast way. They want to cut corners, and they want to just do whatever they can. It's all about me, mine. And because of that, regulation is coming. I don't say this because I'm trying to be mean. I'm saying it because I want you to be prepared. It's coming. Your best bet now is to figure out how you will start being able to close deals with cash. The person who can close with cash is going to be king. No doubt in my mind. And the only way that you'll be confident enough to close in cash is to know your numbers. So if you're not good at comping, get good at comping. Know what a deal is versus what is not a deal. And trust me, I get enough DMs from you guys to know that a lot of you have no idea what a deal is. And I say that with as much love as I can. This will be the fourth time I've answered that question. RunInvestorBase.com. I love it. Okay. I want to build a, Larry called it a pad split. You know, it's not called a pad split, Larry. It's like saying that all facial tissue is Kleenex. Kleenex is the brand, but it's actually facial tissue. Okay. Pad split is a marketplace. So you don't build pad splits. So you want to build a co-living home. What would be the first step? Okay. The first step is looking for demand. Is there demand in the area where you want to put a co-living property? If there's no demand, then you want to see, are there businesses? Are there nonprofits that would have demand there? Maybe there's not demand in the workforce. Maybe there's not demand in the general public, but maybe there are nonprofits or organizations that would have demand there. The next thing I would look at is, what's your model? Are you looking to get in creatively? Do you have capital, or do you have no capital? If you have no capital, you can still do these deals. I have an individual in our community who bought a house subject to, actually, it was an owner finance. I stand corrected. It was an owner finance deal, and negotiated a deal with this seller, put $20K down, okay? And I think the monthly payments that they negotiated were like $2,000 a month. Anyhow, this property cash flows $3,500 a month net. And he put $20,000 down, okay? Which makes this an infinite deal. Now, does that deal come around every day? No. But if you found 2 of those a year, you would be in, like, let me ask you, would $7,000 a month right now not be a game, like, continuously, forever and ever and ever, right? Would $7K a month right now not be a life-changing amount of passive income? I think for a lot of people watching this right now, it would be. $7,000 a month in my life makes a difference. I get way more chicken wings. So I think that you should absolutely look for baked-in demand. I think you should see, are there opportunities to get owner financing? If there are not, then I would go for cash. I would look to force appreciation so that I could refi my money out of the deal and then do it again. Okay, but it starts with demand, Larry. It starts with demand. See where the co-living homes would make the most sense and go from there. Hope that helped, bro. I've got a person who had a distressed house, but my numbers are tight. I don't want to pursue and have a bad deal. So when she asked what my offer was, I left her on red. I get it. I get the reason for leaving them on red. Let me ask you this, okay? And I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I'm going to assume you're a man, because that's a man thing to do. Leave someone on red, okay? Actually, maybe it's a woman thing to do. Let's think about it, okay? You are out in the world and you meet a beautiful woman and you ask her for her phone number. And then she feels all like about it, and you're kind of like, get out your phone and you're like, I'll call you. And then you're like almost putting it on her right there to be like, okay, I better give him my real number because he's going to call. And then if it doesn't ring, I'm going to look like a liar. And so you get the real phone number. And then a little bit later, you send a text message and you're like, hey, it was great to meet you. when would you like to go and go for a cup of coffee? And there's no response. Now, would you not just rather know right out the gate, hey man, I don't think we're like a fit, than like just being left on red? So I think that it's the right thing to do to, with grace, educate the person as to why the deal doesn't make sense with you and for you, right? And doing it in a way that actually makes logical sense, right? Using numbers and using comparables as an approach and saying, hey, look, I would love to buy this property off of you, but with the numbers that you're proposing I buy this for, I'm going to actually lose money. And I can't lose money. I'm supporting a family here. I want to, but I really want to do a deal with you. It's just not going to work at the number that you're proposing. Now, I felt like you deserved an explanation as to why I can't do this. But if you'd like to revisit this at all, I'd be happy to talk more. And that just will, clear it up. It communicates back to the person that their number is just not realistic to do a deal with you. And it keeps you in integrity, right? Because you as a business person, you responded. I think there's something really important about that. Like, I don't like doing that to people. I don't like it when it's done to me. And so I think it's just a really good way to be. It's a stand-up way to behave, right? To like communicate and just say the things, even if they're uncomfortable. And hey, look, use it as practice. Because if you can get used to saying uncomfortable things to people that you barely know, then when it really matters in your life, you'll be good at it. Because when it really matters in your life and you're not saying things that you should be saying because it's uncomfortable, that's when your whole life falls apart. So learning how to communicate uncomfortable things, and trust me, take it from a guy who is like run away from saying uncomfortable things to people. I hate that shit. I'm like the first guy. I'm like passive aggressive 101 over here. But I'm doing better. I'm trying my best to use my words and to say things that I need to say when they need to be said. Because life doesn't work for you well when you don't. Straight up. What are my top 2 projects right now? Co-living. How do you handle basement square footage when comping in Atlanta? It's a mixed bag. Agents adding finished and unfinished into the residential square footage. Oh, what a great question, Etienne. So here is the rule, okay? Appraisers don't have to use basement square footage. And mostly they will not even count it in their calculations unless the construction quality of the basement is the same as the quality upstairs. And in which case they only need to use 50% of the square footage. So basements are kind of a loss, right? They don't pencil out to renovate, first of all. Fix and flippers don't like to sink money into basements because they don't get that money back. And they especially don't get it back on appraisal. And so when you have an agent who is using square footage from a basement to like beef up the square footage of a house, call them out on it. Just say, oh, I appreciate that you're saying this house is 2,000 square feet, but legally it's only 1,000 square feet above grade. And appraisers will not use below grade square footage in their appraisals. Full stop. And if they challenge you on that, then there is a tremendous amount of information online that you could show to back up what you're saying there. But take it from a guy who has interviewed hundreds of appraisers, and I can tell you without a doubt that it is very real that below grade square footage is not counted all the time. The only time it's counted is when it's fully completed at the same level as the upstairs, and at the max they'll give you is 50% of value. Christopher Ransom Jr. said, cities have zoning laws. You can't do co-living anywhere. You're right. They do. And what you would do is you want to look at the occupancy ordinance. I'm really happy that you brought this up, Christopher. There are occupancy ordinances in every county, in every state. And so before I buy a co-living there, I will definitely check that. That's probably step number 1. Is co-living even viable in the area? I'll give you an example. I would never buy co-living property in an HOA. Why? Because I don't want the HOA giving me problems, and they're very likely going to not allow me to do it. So I don't even look at HOA properties. The other place in Arizona that I won't do or buy or look at co-living homes is Mesa. Why? Because Mesa has an ordinance that only allows for a maximum of 4 unrelated people to dwell in a home together. So that means that my cash flow is not going to flow, right? Because I'm only going to have 4 people in there. And that means I can only do 4 rooms. And unless I have a really low payment on this thing, it's just not going to pencil out for me. So I stay away from Mesa. But Phoenix has up to 6 unrelated people. And now they're allowing for multiple ADUs. And so now I can get up to 18 bed and bath on one single family lot. And because they're in structures that are not the same as the main structure, I can get 6 in the main, 4, 4, and 4. And I can do that all on one single family lot, fully permitted and in compliance with the city of Phoenix's zoning ordinances. So that's what you want to check out. You want to look at what is the zoning ordinance for the number of unrelated people who can live in that specific county. Hope that helped. Thank you for bringing that up, Christopher. Very good point. Someone said, is Wholesale Hotline fading away? Love seeing you guys together, but noticed that people have been absent for a while. Well, you know, life is lifing, right? Brent has been off in Italy for their, 10-year anniversary with him and his wife. He's on a retreat right now with his coaching friends, and so unfortunately he wasn't able to make it. Normally, Jerry and Pace are pretty good at showing up, and I do my best as well. So at least you'll have the 3 of us here most of the time. Unfortunately, right now, though, Pace is in a plane on his way to Alaska because he is on stop number 2 for the Creative Nation Tour. And so he couldn't make it today. And Jerry is also occupied. And so we do our best. Remember, guys, we do this podcast as a service. You know, we don't make any money doing this. Nobody pays us. We really just love providing value to new people in the business. And so we just show up and do our best for you guys. So sorry that we haven't all been available and haven't all been present here. I do promise in the future that an episode with all 4 of us is forthcoming. But bear with us right now as kind of time has been a little bit sticky, and we're doing our best to coordinate with it all. Interesting. Looks like Quick Flip has turned comments off on their posts, which you know is always a good sign when somebody's scamming. Oh, I love you guys too. Thank you so much. We are under contract on a property, and the seller took out a loan 10 days ago for $1.1 million with a partner, and the partner took all the money and is ghosting them. Now he can't sell the property. Oh my God, that is heartbreaking. Look, people can suck, man. Can you imagine being partners with somebody and then they just go and embezzle $1 million away? Like, that makes me sick. You know, Dom, I have so many questions. Like, how is that person able to do that without the knowledge of the other? Were they not on the entity together? So many things could have been done to ensure that this wouldn't have happened. But, you know, you trust people, right? And you expect that folks are going to do the right thing. And I think all the people, including me, like, look, I'm a bozo too, right? I put my girlfriend in harm's way by referring her to Quick Flip. And then she had to deal with all the shenanigans as a result. And she could have had liens filed against her property. Like, I would have taken care of all that. All of that would have been my loss. And that sucks, you know? But it sucks that she had to deal with that headache. It's just it sucks. It really does suck when people don't do the right thing. And even the best of us, can fall victim to scams and crappy people. Short-term rentals, midterm rentals, co-living. What's my opinion on this? I think short-term rentals are a thing of the past. You want to look at where regulation is moving towards, right? If you see regulation in the short-term rental world is getting rid of it, right? They don't want short-term rentals. The hotel lobby is really powerful, and they are fighting short-term rentals everywhere, okay? So I would say stay away from short-term rentals. The math isn't mathing. I'll give you an example. Statistically, in 2017, Phoenix, Arizona had 5,000 short-term rental listings on Airbnb. In 2025, there are 20,000 short-term rental listings on Airbnb. It went from 5 to 20,000, okay? And prices have come down because there's way more inventory. And on top of that, Airbnb is increasing the fees that they're charging their users, their hosts. So it's become less and less sensible to do it. So I think short-term rentals, unless you're in a really niche area, like, you know, you've got a property right next to Penn State University and it's perfect for families visiting while football games are going on. Okay. Don't DM me and be like, my short-term rental at Penn State, which is mainly used to house football families who are coming to view. Okay, I get it. You have a really niche situation there that makes your short-term rental awesome. And there's going to be examples of that all over the country where there's like something really niche about why this market is really cool or why this is really desirable. And typically those properties are already bought, are already owned by somebody and operating really well. It's not likely that you're going to stumble into that in 2025. Okay. So sure, if you got into short-term rentals in 2017 and you still operate them and you are still at a cost basis that you bought them in 2017 and you've got a really low interest rate on them, yeah, I'm sure you're making a lot of money on it. Great. Good for you. Awesome. But if you're trying to get into it now, short-term rentals, off the table. Midterm rentals, they could be great. Okay. But again, you're looking at different platforms and you're still in a business to consumer type of model. My opinion, anything business to consumer is got inherent risk in it because now I'm just dealing with the general public. And not that I don't love the general public because we're all the general public. I prefer to do business with vendors, businesses, nonprofits, people who write big checks, people actually who don't write checks, people who print checks, okay? People who, when they send you a check, it's not handwritten, it's printed because they have people working there and they have printers that make their checks for them and they have accountants that issue payments, that type of thing. I want to do business with those types of people, with that type of organization. Why? Because the check clears. Unless it's quick flip construction. Okay. ARV was 275 to 300 and needed a mid to full remodel. And mortgage was 155 and had it listed for 165, but wanted to make 40K. But I didn't have the confidence in her wanting to take the 175. I'm not really understanding the flow of numbers and words there, but okay. If the Fed lowers the Fed fund rate and mortgage rates go up, that would be a crash course for people in real estate about the meaning of a yield curve. Yes, Dimitri is correct. Any new straight out of comping soon? You know, I want to get back to doing straight out of comping. I'm thinking about it. Maybe if there was like a really big, you know, if you guys all protested and made me feel like I'd be letting you down if I didn't bring it back, then maybe. Yeah, Samuel Morgan is definitely correct. Everything comes down to, is it a real deal or not? Maria Co, hey, she's in the chat. She says, yes, let's keep doing more co-living deals. Oh, Maria, I didn't tell you. Rahima just sold the last one that we got under contract today. So you got another you got another big schwack coming to you too. So she did a deal yesterday, and you did another one today. Look at you go. Oh, Ben Power said he can confirm investor base is great. Thank you, Ben. Went to a RIA recently and met a guy, great buyer. Most of the leaders knew who they were, but the guy was super nonchalant. That's actually, you know, the more low key, the more like down to earth. Those are usually the real like assassins in the room. The real loud guy, other than me, is usually a turkey. There you go. Terry Smith said, if you want to find the blended rate, use a blended rate calculator. Thank you. Yoda Gaming said, Jamil, is it legal to buy and rent a room for a 10-bed, 4-bath, single family in R2 zoning in College Park near Atlanta, Georgia? I would look up let's look it up, okay? What is the maximum of unrelated people? Let me show you guys a trick, okay? I'll show you all a trick today. There's this website, Google. And I'm going to go to Google here, and I'm going to say, what is the maximum number of unrelated people who can live in an R2 home, R2 zoned home in College Park, Atlanta, Georgia? So now the functional family thing is the important thing. What is a functional family? And there's a lot of vagueness with functional family because, you know, 2-3 people that are not related could be operating as a functional family. And so that could be a functional family. But what they're saying here is in College Park, Georgia, up to 2 unrelated people can live in that specific property. So for me, that would not be one that I would want to work in. Now let's take the R2 zoning out and let's just look at the number of unrelated people who can live in a home in College Park, Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see. 6. Okay. So that I would keep the R2 zoning out of there. I would say that you can confirm that you can get up to 6 unrelated people that can live in that property. Now, because it's multifamily at zoned R2, you can put another structure there. So unless that 10 bedroom has 6 in one structure and 4 in another, then that might not be legal. See how I did that? Hopefully that made sense. I joined Subto on Friday. Where are you guys finding motivated seller lists? Of course, Deal Sauce, absolutely. But John Cook, first of all, congratulations on joining Subto. In my opinion, the greatest community that you could get into right now. That's overarching in real estate investments. I think it's really good. I think it's a really good thing. I love the Subto fam. They're phenomenal. There's probably hundreds of them watching this right now. Deal Sauce is definitely the way to go. But the best thing to do is connect to other people. Find out what they're doing in that specific neck of the woods. I don't know where you are, like what your area is. And there may be certain strategies that are better than others. And so your number one thing to do right now, John, is connect to people in the community, ask questions, go to the jam sessions. I think Pace does a jam session almost every morning. Go to that jam session. I know it's early, like 7 or 6 a.m. in the morning, but go to that because hundreds of people go there and you can connect. I would also connect in the comments here, John. There are going to be people here who will want to work with you and who can be helpful to you and give you some tips and advice. But yes, you can find motivated seller lists on DealSauce. We have some of the best data, dealsauce.io, dealsauce.io, and you can get a free trial there and check it out. Will I be in a genie costume in Chicago? No, not likely. Do I do co-living in a house with a pool? I do not. What I do, however, is I don't not buy a house that has a pool if it's priced well. We build a deck over it. So what we'll do is we'll drain the pool and then we build a deck over the pool. That way I don't have to destroy the pool. I don't have to fill the pool and not have it available in the future. I think a pool has a lot of value. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but building a pool is really freaking expensive, and you don't get the same value for a pool that you did, Oh, come on. Hold on. Pools are super, 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 super expensive, right? So what you got to do is just cover the pool. Cover the pool with a deck, costs like $2,000, and then you don't have to lose your pool. What are my thoughts on the state of the industry in the next 5 years? I'm doubling down on affordable housing. Absolutely. I'm putting all my ducks, all my eggs, all my moonies is all going into affordable housing. I think that not only for the next 10 years, I think until I retire, affordable housing is going to be where the money is going to be made. I think it's where the most impact is going to be made as well. Not only do I like having a positive impact on real estate, the community, but also I like to make really good money. And I think affordable housing is the place for that. How have I transitioned into co-living, and how have I pitched it to an agent? Phenomenal question. Well, I've transitioned into co-living this way by really focusing all my time and energy and investment money on it. Second, when I'm talking to agents, I just tell them exactly what I'm doing. Now, one of the cool things is when I present as a person buying for co-living, that doesn't mean that I don't wholesale a property. I still wholesale properties all the time. It's just that instead of fixing and flipping them now, if I do keep it, I turn it into co-living. So my pitch, when I'm pitching agents, I still tell them I have to do a major renovation. I still have to tell them that the numbers work, and I still have to tell them that all the things, the same reasons why we have inspection periods when we're locking up contracts for wholesaling. But I have a much cooler story. And when they are talking to me about it, they're not as like, are you a wholesaler? They're not like trying to do the whole Scooby-Doo catch me thing, ask me all these questions to find out if I'm a wholesaler or not. When I start off telling them I'm in the affordable housing game, I do co-living. I'm looking for houses in working class areas that I can do substantial renovation to help generate more cash flow, but also provide more affordable housing units to the city. I'm looking for homes that are on larger lots that have a big amount of work that are needed in them. I love distress. Do you have anything like that coming to market right now, or anything on the market right now that's been sitting that I can look at? And that pitch right there, guys, hits every time. Been on the dialer all day, haven't talked to any motivated sellers. Any advice? Do some here. I know this is going to sound super woo-woo to you, but there are people out there right now who have been on the dialer all day who are only talking to motivated sellers. What do you think the difference is between you and them? Why do you think they somehow energetically attract motivated sellers, but you're not getting anybody? It's the inside work. I know that's going to sound super woo-woo, but it's just me, and I'm going to woo-woo you. Do some inside work. Do some meditation. Do some breath work. Really visualize. Get into the state. Get into the identity of a person who is on the phone and connects on the phone with everybody. And you'll see, on an energetic level, things change. See, one of the things I've learned is everything in life is frequency. If I'm at a specific frequency, then the only people that I'm interacting on the outside are people that are of the same frequency as that. And if I'm in a frequency of lack, I'm going to just find more lack. If I'm in a frequency of abundance, I'm going to find more abundance. You're only interacting in the world with what you are. I think the chat questions are only read by Jerry. That is not true. I am reading the questions. Tell you guys my Instagram. Yes, it's at @JDamji, at JDAMJI. Dimitri said you can get great deals on Airbnb right now. Him and his wife stayed in a $2 million condo in Miami for only $7,000 for the month. I believe it. Can I do co-living in Puerto Rico? That's a Jerry question. Oh my God. Does it bother you that people sit naked on your couch and pee next to your toilet? Skip. What's the easiest state to wholesale in? I've been wholesaling for 10 years in Cali. I think Arizona is a great state. My favorite. That's what I'd say. Do I do private lending? Yep. Here is my webinar link. Yvette, maybe put that up on the screen if you're still here. So people can see it. It's www.housingalchemist.com/co-living_webinar, but hopefully she'll put that up on the screen. Looking forward to meeting Pace on Saturday in Chicago. Would love to be his next prodigy. Yeah, I would love for you to be the next prodigy too. About to have to move into a shelter. Been difficult. Praying for you, bro. I really do hope things get better. Make sure that you come and introduce yourself to me when you're in Chicago. I'm also going to be there. I'd like to shake your hand, and I want to congratulate you for being on a podcast like this, especially with things being hard in your life. I think that is super brave of you, and it's really forward thinking. And I think that right there is a sign that things are going to turn up and look up for you. So just have faith, and let's focus on what we can do. Cool. Is my community only working in Arizona? Well, I'm only buying co-living homes in Arizona. And a lot of my people in the Housing Alchemy community are also really liking Arizona because the insurance is really low and the property taxes are super low. So a lot of them are looking for properties in Arizona. Years ago, I shared rehab cost estimates. Those are definitely changed. Cosmetic rehabs right now are probably running around $45 a square foot. Full gut is about $80 a square foot. New construction is about $150 a square foot. Is this wholesale hotline or the rental maximization hotline? It's my motherfucking hotline. And if you don't like it, get out. How's that? Speaking of bird dogging deals, anybody need help finding deals? Yes, I do. I need land and I need houses to turn into co-living in Phoenix, Arizona. Send me stuff. Actually, send them to Maria Ko. She's in the chat here. She's been bird dogging like crazy for me. I'm a new bird dog. What's your buy box? Co-living. I'm looking for houses in West Phoenix, South Phoenix. Like around the 200-ish range, so like smaller, really, really, really distressed. What up, J Money? Do you have any recommendations on markets to start my wholesale journey in? I'm in the Pacific Northwest. How far out of a metro should I look? I would stay in the highly populated areas. DJ Fright Estate, I think that's your name. Stay in major markets. I think Pacific Northwest is a great spot. Seattle, there's a lot of action out there. But those really working class areas, like, where are they? Oh, Tacoma. Oh my goodness. Tacoma is like one of those really great areas. Kent, another one where there's just working class people. There's going to be lots of wholesaling opportunities over there. That's where I'd focus. I've been speaking with an owner who wants $140K for his 2-bed, 1-bath, 750 square foot house. Got him down twice from 159 without making an offer. I think his property needs rehab. Send me what it is. Maybe I can help. Currently looking to do slow flips via Hampton Roads. If anyone's looking, go check out American Mama, and help her. Jamil, would you agree that it's better to do deals with very big spreads rather than doing high volume on tight margins? I do high volume, tight margins. That's just how I like to roll. I think that, it's up to you, right? It's really, everybody's got their kind of stick or the thing that they like the most. For me, I prefer the more voluminous types of deals because there's more buyers for it. When you're talking about, getting 100K on a deal, there's not going to be a lot of buyers for that kind of deal. I would feel like. So for me, I would not be as bullish on a deal like that or want to spend as much time. But to each their own, Dimitri. You're a very seasoned investor. I've been seeing you on here for years, bro. And so you probably have a lot of great buyers, which is why you're able to do that. A few more minutes here, guys, and I'm going to wrap it up. I apologize if I offended anybody for cussing, but I just don't know why anyone comes onto a podcast that I'm doing and try to tell me what to do. It's so dumb. Like, yeah, it's called Wholesale Hotline. I'm talking about real estate investment, and you don't like that I'm talking about rentals, then go away. So strange. These are the same people that come into my webinars and are like, when are you going to start talking about things I care about? I don't know. Maybe when your mom gets out from underneath the table. What else? Jamil, you didn't want to go freeze with pace. I really wish I was in Alaska right now, honestly, guys. But I didn't. Next time. Link for the webinar. Yvette, if you can put it on the screen, that would be super helpful. I was scammed by Quick Flip. Any advice? Yes. Get to an attorney. Call the FBI. Talk to an attorney. It is not going to get better. They're going to delay you. They're going to promise you a refund. They're not sending refunds out to anybody. They didn't refund anybody that has been requesting refunds for the last few months. That's how they're just prolonging the scam, and they're getting you not to. What they don't want is an avalanche of complaints to the FBI at the same time, right? Because then what happens? They actually launch an investigation. Keep it up, Yvette. They actually launch an investigation. And so, and that's the wrong link, not the Zoom link. Give them the link to register. Or if that was the one, then cool. But what they will do is they will, if a lot of people come and complain at the same time, the FBI sees that there's a problem and they launch an investigation. Now, why you want to get an attorney right away is they can go out and get what's called injunctive relief, which means they can freeze Quick Flip's assets and the assets of their owners, especially if fraud is alleged. And that's, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when I met Lambros in person, the guy's got about a $40,000 Rolex Daytona on his wrist. He also lives in Atlanta, guys, by the way. He has a $40,000 gold Daytona Rolex on his wrist. If he owes any of you money, he lives in Atlanta. Anyhow, that watch could be a part of the restitution estate, right? And so we definitely want to make sure that that $40,000 solid gold Rolex Daytona that's been bought with investor money becomes one of the items that they take away from him so that the investors get paid from that $40,000 gold Daytona that's on his wrist of a man who lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And I think we're done. Okay. I love you guys. I'm sorry if I offended any of you. No, I'm not. Peace. Later.